Okay, so we had one of the subscribers reach out today from Wait Till He Turns Outdoors, and basically it's his first year hunting with a bow, first bow he's ever purchased. He's shooting at around 35 pounds, and he has good groups at 20 up to 25, and once he hits 30, he said it kind of goes a little, not great. So he wanted to go over a couple of tips for beginners, maybe some tips that we know that we wish we would have known earlier, or things that we might think is obvious that it's really not. The first thing I want to cover is grip. When you grip your bow, you don't want to grip with your whole hand. You want to grip more like this, with your thumb muscle being the main component touching the bow. And you want it to be relaxed. You don't want to grab too hard, but you don't also want to keep your hand straight. You want to activate the least amount of muscles possible in your hand. So I like to grab mine comfortably like this, and then just kind of rest my hands on the bow. And you always want to have your wrist strap on. That way you don't have to grip the bow after the release. So even once you finish your shot and you release, you don't want to grab the bow. You want to kind of let it naturally fall forward. The next tip that I'd like to share is your anchoring point. Your anchor point needs to be the same every time, and you need to do something repeatable. You need to figure out where your release fits comfortably on your jaw, where you would like your string to touch your nose, if you're going to touch the string with your nose, or if you're going to touch the corner of your mouth. Whatever it is that you do that feels comfortable, do it every single time. So whenever I draw, I'm here. Notice the grip. I'm relaxed on the grip. When I find my peep sight, my nose just barely touches the string. And you want it to touch at the same place every time. My hand is against my jawbone, between my first two knuckles. That's where I like it to touch. Also, you want to just feel comfortable. That way you can squeeze through the shot. And the whole time when you're holding, you want to hold back pressure. You don't want to just barely get it to the knock point. You want to squeeze your shoulders together and hold that back pressure. You want to hold it more with your back muscles than your shoulder or your arm muscle. The next thing I want to talk about is the follow through of your shot. So after you release, you're here. When you squeeze off on your trigger or your finger release or whatever it is that you're using, you want to pull through the shot. You don't want to jerk. You don't want to do anything like that. You want to slowly pull through the shot. That way, it almost surprises you whenever the arrow, when the release lets go and the arrow takes off, you almost want it to surprise you. That way you're not so focused on where it's going to hit, and I promise you it will find its way. So with all that said, I'm going to go shoot a couple of shots and kind of explain while I'm shooting, I guess the process that I'll walk through in my head every time I shoot. And if there's anything that other people, that if you watch this, if there's anything you think I missed or anything that I could have worded better or said differently, drop a comment and help this guy out, and let's get him to be a proficient bow hunter. Thanks. All right, so I'll go through a couple of the things that I run through in my head every time I shoot. I just ranged. I have my target at 47 yards. So I'll go ahead and move my pin to 47 yards. I'm shooting this single pin. Well, it's really kind of a dot. You can see that. This is by TruGlo. So I'll go through a couple of things that I run through in my mind every time I shoot. Really, once you're in the woods, if it's a deer, you don't really even think about all these things. Like, you've practiced it so much that it's just muscle memory, but every time I practice, I think of these things. So I'll go ahead and run through that for you. So the first thing is my grip on my release. If you're shooting a thumb button release, you're gonna wanna match your grip every time. With a trigger release, it's a little different, but you still want everything to be uniform. So I'm gripping with about midway down my fingers, like this. I'm gripping a nice loose grip with my hand. I pull my arm, my elbow up, lean forward a little, pull back, find my anchor point, find where my nose needs to touch, make sure I'm level, and I squeeze as I'm pulling back. So I'm gripping a good grip with my hand, keeping my thumb away from the trigger. Kind of push forward. You don't want to pull into the sky. You don't want to draw down. You want to almost aim at the target the whole time. A nice steady draw. Go right to your anchor point. The same anchor point. Squeeze the trigger while you're pulling back. And you notice I didn't grab my bow really hard as soon as the arrow flew. You just kind of let it fall. Pulling back whenever you release. I'm gonna shoot one more. I think that was a pretty good group.